All right, here we go. My name is Frank Yosa, and we've got Steve Zarpus. We're the co-founders of KetoneAid, and I'm really excited to have Dustin Armstrong on here. He's going to introduce himself. He tried the ketone monoester that we had sent him, and we want to report on, how it worked for him. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin Armstrong here, Cat 1 bike racer and Masters bike racer, personal trainer, health nutritionist. Now going to school for functional medicine wellness coaching. Last September, I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes. Thought I was doing everything right. More of a vegan approach, a high fruit, and jumped on board with this keto program and became fat adapted, and then been playing around with different ketone supplements for the last year or so, ketone salts, and was super excited to give this KetoneAid a try.
KetoneAid, yeah.
KetoneAid.
Yeah, great. So we sent you some, and normally we'd recommend someone try it on a hard practice, but you went ahead and tried it on game day. I gave you all the warnings that, a new fuel like this might, throw off things, but I think it ended up going pretty well. Can you tell us when you took it and how it tasted and when you started to feel something?
Yeah. So you mailed it to me, and I was sitting on it, I don't know for how long, 2 or 3 weeks, trying to plan it on a training day, a good training day that I can duplicate over and compare my numbers and stuff. And with the weather in SoCal, I just have not been able to make it happen. And, following the research, following other people who have studied it, I kind of had an idea what was going to happen. And long term would be able to utilize this in race situations. So I figured, what the hell, it's an early season race. What can go wrong? I pull out in 5 minutes and I lose an entry fee. I'm not really too worried about that. I would rather kind of try it and in a real life situation, a race situation. And so chatting with you the day before and having kind of a game plan, fell behind schedule a little bit on the way to the race. I got in traffic, and the whole timing of the glucose and the ketones were kind of 20 minutes behind schedule. So short story, I took it, the 60 milliliters, basically 15 minutes before race time started. And
but you took the glucose, we took both, right? So you took the glucose, yeah, like 45 minutes before?
Yeah, right when I pulled up, I took the glucose, and then I think it was 20 minutes after I took the ketones.
Okay.
And I actually really enjoyed the taste. It was, there's kind of two sides to it. There's that little kind of, I think what people are referring to as jet fuel, but it's not even bad. And then the sweetness to it, whatever you use to sweeten it, that sweetness stays with you in your palate for a little while. And I didn't need a chaser. My girlfriend licked the container. She actually enjoyed it. And
all right, so a far side from the Peter Attia interview, you talked about jet fuel and almost heaving it up.
Yeah, I tried one of those liquid salts before, and it was way worse. So
okay.
Yeah, so taste-wise, I can palate it, no problem. I know you were asking people to review it and compare it to tequila and this and that. I cannot take a shot of alcohol if my life depended on it.
Okay.
and that went down smoothly and easily. The whole 60 milliliters, no chaser.
Great.
So basically, I got it down. I had to go to a team briefing real quick right before race starts for team tactics, and that put us pretty much right into start time. So I rushed back to the car just to take a reading. That was probably 10 minutes after taking it. And yeah, I got a dramatic bump in ketones. I went from 0.2 in the morning to right before I took it, I measured and it was like 1.2. So I think just naturally my body went up a little more. And then 10 minutes after, the monoester up to 7.5.
Holy crap.
So, and Frank mentioned maybe because I was warmed up, but I wasn't warmed up. That was just straight out of a car.
Well, I think the big difference is you're keto adapted. That's the big difference. We haven't done much testing on people that are already keto adapted, and their body is already in tune and possibly having all the enzymes ready to make the ketones higher, because that number is not what we've seen in non-keto adapted people. We don't see them going up that high. So we have to figure out, maybe you only need half the amount of ester as well.
Yeah. With the blood sugar after the glucose, I was up to, right before race start, at the same time as the 7.5, I was 146 on my blood glucose. So that's a bigger spike than I've seen in a long, long time. Like, I run high. Like I said, I had some pretty scary pre-diabetic numbers and very sensitive to glucose. So I've been controlling it for over a year. And it's the first time I've seen numbers over 120 in like a while. So,
but you also took 60 grams of glucose, so that's what was spiking that, and it might have even been, let's say, higher, but then the ketones suppressed it,
dropped it.
Maybe we'll do another test where maybe keto adapted people don't need to do the glucose, or maybe they can use a slower, like a UCAN type, slower acting sugar.
Yeah. I love the UCAN. I use that. I didn't use it that day because I was all out, but I've been using it in the morning pre-race or pre-rides for a little while now.
Right. Well, maybe that'll be the next test. So how did you feel when coupling this new energy plus adrenaline, which is something that you can't get as much of on a workout day? How did it feel, energy level, when the gun was about to go off? How jazzed were you?
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement. So, being a pretty big race, an important race to my team, being it's a memorial race to a lost teammate years prior, on top of like a product that I've been following for a long time. So you got that excitement, and then that bump. Like I've only seen over a 4 once or twice before, and the feeling is quite amazing. How you feel, and so instantly to see that, it brought the nerves up a lot. So come race time, taking consideration, I was off the bike for 2 weeks too because of the weather, and I'm not a big fan of doing workouts on the trainer. So my legs were not quite firing off. I had some nerves and excitement, and I just kind of sat in the pack and paid attention to my heart rate, which was not affected by it at all. It was pretty standard heart rates for the race situation. I tried to move up in the pack a couple times just to test my legs to see how I felt, but there was a lot going on. This mental clarity, seeing the race in slow motion, maybe over analyzing the feeling that I was having. And so about the last 15 minutes of the race, of a 55-minute race that was over 30 mile per hour average, like putting me probably above threshold for my typical workouts. And the last 15, I decided to give it a go. There was what we call preem lap for prizes. Nobody was going. I jumped. I took that preem. I looked back. I saw a very good pro cyclist bridging up. I let him bridge up to decide to work together with him. And we drilled it for the win to go 1 and 2, but we got caught on the last line. It's hard to hold off 80 other bike racers going as hard as they can against your two. So, but in that 15 minutes, I felt pretty well. Like, I know we've talked about the lactic and burn. One leg was kind of there. The other leg was feeling really fresh and strong, which was strange. Heart rate didn't go too high.
How did your watts look? Were you measuring your watts, your output, or just?
I do measure my watts. For that 55-minute race, we had a pretty high normalized power of like 365 watts.
And so how does that compare to typical?
That's a little high for a Masters race. And I think, like I mentioned a little bit, there's a lot. I don't know about the level needed to be taken, or maybe adapting to riding or racing with the higher elevated ketones. I know people have mentioned different things here and there, but I think it's something you need to get used to or train with.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about that feeling, that slow motion feeling? Some people call it being in the zone. Was that only at the beginning of the race, or does that last the entire race, or the entire day for that matter?
The whole day.
For the whole day.
The whole day. I've actually kind of shared with the girlfriend a little bit. There's a feeling of like when that's going away, almost like, I don't know, like I guess it would be just the coming down off of it. I was like, I can feel it changing now, but it wasn't not till like 7 p.m.
Right.
Taking consideration, I took those things at 10:30 in the morning. So it stayed with me for 2 races all the way through. I mean, I'm really a nervous bike racer because I've had my share of injuries, and those nerves were gone. I just sat in the pack and did what I was supposed to do as my job on the team. Perfectly calm.
Your job was to propel another cyclist, right? And then you decided towards the end to go ahead and try and go for the win.
Yeah, we have a little freedom in the beginning, and then at the end, it's if those tactics don't work, then I'm a lead out guy. So when the group caught me, I just had to put my head down and go harder again and get my sprinter to the finish line.
And how often do you get into the zone? Every game, every other race, or is this once a year, or you've never had that feeling before?
Can you repeat that question? It kind of buzzed in when Steve was saying something.
Yeah, how often do you get into that zone state? Is this a once a year event for bigger races, or is this something you've never experienced?
You get the adrenaline and the excitement on the big races, which it's hard to find today because I've been racing my bike for 25 years or plus. But that feeling that I had in both races, taking consideration, I did 2 races. I did a Masters and a Pro. Yeah. I've never had that feeling. Not in a race.
Okay, great. So then your first
Can you
race,
describe the kind of racing you're doing? You said the name, but is it road race? Is it open course, closed course?
It's called Criterium Racing. So Criterium is usually a timed event or a lapped event, and it's a circuit course that's usually downtown, spectator friendly, and it's, like I said, Masters is 55 minutes, the Pros are 90 minutes, and about a 1 mile lap.
Okay. So then you had a second race, and we determined that you might take another half of a dose, half of a serving based on where your ketones were, but your reading was 4.5, so we decided not to take another serving. Tell me how you felt going into the next one as far as recovery between events and how that race went.
Yeah. So post-race, just to log everything for you, I went to the car, I measured. I was like, yeah, this is 4.5 or 4.7. I'm feeling great still. I don't really need anything. I drank some water, tapped my bottles off with this sugar-free electrolyte stuff. I had less than probably 20 minutes turnaround to get back out there for the next start. Was really excited, feeling calm, socializing with all my buddies out there, and just like you said, in a zone. And I went into the next pro race more or less just for that extra training for later in the season. I'm predominantly fast twitch, so like any endurance workouts get hard for me. Later in the season, I adapt more and they become more efficient and better. So typically, if I would do back-to-back races this early in the season, the second race, I would normally only finish half of it and be all cramped up. So I went into it with no teammates. My teammates didn't race the second race. I just sat in the back of about 120 starters, some top pros, and was just going to sit back there and feel my legs, take in the feeling I was getting from the ketones, and analyze how I feel, and just see if I get to the end of the 90 minutes, and then we'll have a different game plan. So I sat there, the most calm I've ever been in the back of a peloton, which is more nerve-wracking than the front. You dodging crashes, you got this yo-yo effect. But I just sat there calm and just waited to the last 5 minutes. And when the 5 minutes comes up, you get these lap cards, and I was like, wow, I have I did consume like a gel last 20 minutes just to
Sorry, we just lost that audio. You said you saw the lap cards, and then what happened?
I started working my way to the front. I started picking out some of these good riders I know that are great finishers, and they drive right to the front. 2 laps ago, I was in second wheel. It was a little far, and like I would prefer to be 5 or 6 back and stand up for my sprint. So I had to kind of flow off, just like kind of drop in the wind a little. And last lap, still having legs, still feeling 100%. Was right where I needed to be, but then started coming. That's the Valentine's Day massacre because it's a crash. And the point I swung wide and just kind of pulled because there's early in this really laying everything down.
Steve, are you getting any of that? Because it's cutting out for me. Maybe he should call in the call-in number.
No.
Let's.
I'm hearing none of it.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, I got on. Back on. I got on. Now I'm on.
Why don't we just move to? Why don't I send you the phone number to call in, and we'll use that. We've got good video for the first half.
Yeah, it might be Frank's connection because it's still kind of choppy.
No, it's not. It's going to be he's doing video.
Yeah, you're getting to the good part, and I'm sitting there listening, and then all of a sudden, nothing. It's robot voice.
All right, he's going to do the regular call-in. Dustin, can you look at your text message and just cancel the Zoom video and do the call-in?
Just call your cell phone?
Okay.
All right.
So you were just getting to the good part, and then it went to robot voice. If it doesn't work again, we'll just have you do the call-in number so it's sharper.
All right.
So you were talking about the second race, how your legs were 100% fresh, and you started to make a move, which was not expected to be a workout.
Yeah, so I sat in, like I said, I sat in that race with no expectations, just extra 90 minutes of training. And lap cards come out, and I'm like, wow, my legs feel fresh. I'm not cramped up at all. And I always cramp, and always told people it's not dehydration, it's that neuromuscular adaptation. And being so early in the season and my muscles not used to firing off that fast for that long, it takes me a few races to really adapt to doing 2 or 3 races in one day. And so I was quite impressed. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to grab this guy's wheel. He's a great finisher. Rode me right up to the front, sat there with 2 laps to go, a little too far in the front. But come the final lap, I was kind of where I needed to be for a podium finish. And the crashes started piling up. And I don't know if you got it, but this race is known as the Valentine's Day Massacre. It wipes out cyclists really bad every year. And so doing 40 miles per hour on the straightaway and you see bikes flying over your head, it's kind of nerve-wracking. And that was not even the bad turn where all the crashes come. So the next turn, I was already riding cautiously, and you can't do that as a sprinter. You need to be attacking. And so more crashes come, and I just kind of jump the curb and pull off the course and coasted to the finish line instead of really risking it and taking a crash this early. But I was super impressed. My teammates that sat there and watched were impressed that I can finish in the pro race in the top after doing a Masters race that was way harder intensity than most typical races in the season.
Well, your Masters race was your second race, right?
Masters was first. Masters was first, and the pro was second.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Great. Did you talk to anybody else that was surprised that you were at the front of the pack? Like those top finishers? Were they like, damn, where'd you come from?
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to talk to much. Everyone that's the last race of the day, and everyone just takes off home.
Gotcha.
And there's so many people that don't know what ketones are still today. Like my teammates are like, what are ketones? Do you grow those?
Uh-huh.
Awesome. So,
wow.
What would you think for a next N-of-1 experiment? Would you try it without glucose and just see if that's enough? Would you try less, or would you just keep it? Let's try controlling and having that same exact experience.
I think I would maybe try less, and I might even try to top off my glycogen the night before a little more. I stuck to a pretty ketogenic diet all week, and sometimes I will do sweet potatoes the night before a race. And I think I might try to load up that pathway a little more, like the night before and before intake, and then really try to go into it 100% dual fuel, like both systems working. So maybe a little less, because or like I said, or it needs to get used to it. I just need to train more. I didn't feel like there was a negative effect.
Right.
Maybe like if that was the proper amount, like I need to train that more frequently, or we can see because maybe less is more too.
Or maybe try it with the UCAN instead of glucose, so you have a more steady, steady sugar intake. So what would your assessment be as far as, all the rumors that are out there? Did it meet your expectation? Do you think this is the real deal and will be a game changer in the industry?
I think it's a game changer for sure in stage racing, because the way I felt the next day, and we'll talk about that, like with measuring my stress levels too, was impressive. I think for time trialing, long time trials that are going to be steady state at threshold, huge game changer. I still think for the more anaerobic events, there'll be some fine tuning that needs to be done. Some like we're trying to do with the balance of glucose and the optimal levels of both. But
also if that's used for working out and then the recovery benefits thereof, you might not even use the ketone at all on game day. It can just be on the hard days just for the purpose of recovery.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be great. Like use it during the week, and then come race day, you race the typical way you normally race, and then that'll really expedite probably recovery.
How would you define an anaerobic race? Like, are you talking short sprints or?
Yeah, so Criterium Race being a timed event on a short circuit and not everyone being a sprinter, you have attack after attack after attack for 90 minutes. And so if I was to share my power or my heart rate, you're going to see, like I said, a steady or normalized power of 350 watts. In that 55-minute race, I hit over 14 efforts that were close to 1,500 watts. So these are like lots and lots of anaerobic jumps. And then you have to recover right back to threshold and then jump again. And it's that way nonstop for the whole race. Whereas a road race, you can settle in, drop way down into zone 2, zone 3 for 50 miles and just hide out. because you're racing for 100 miles and then hit an effort that's above anaerobic. I didn't notice with the 2 races together, like I did not get hungry at all, which is, if you watch any other racer out there that did probably 2 races, they probably consumed 500-600 calories in gels in that period, plus whatever's in their bottles. I had 0 calories in my bottles, and I consumed 1 honey stinger gel the last of the pro race, just to make sure my glycolytic pathways were topped off for when I was ready to sprint. I'm not even sure if it was needed.
Wow. So normally with a performance that strong, you said, early in the season, halfway through the second race, you would have bonked. Would you have expected to have been sore the following day after such a performance?
I don't really get that soreness, muscular feeling, but I'm pretty dead, like energy-wise. Like I'm tired to walk up my stairs to my house. I just kind of want to lay on the couch all day and eat food all day. And I woke up in the next morning and took my HRV reading, and it actually went more into the parasympathetic side, which is your rest and recovery, which I expected a double race to shock my sympathetic side. And I had this feeling of just wanting to go out and smash the pedals again and train hard, or even do another day of racing. I didn't have the opportunity to because I had a lot of work and school, but I was like running around all day with this lightness in my feet, just feeling really great. I shared my HRV reading with someone that's pretty in tune with that stuff, and he said keep checking for a couple days. It might cause that effect, and then it might go the other way. Well, I'm still hovering on my rested and recovery side.
So can you
talk about the HRV? Is that Bioforce? Is that Bioforce HRV?
Yeah, I use the Elite HRV for Bioforce. It's very simple, it's user-friendly. A lot of these other ones get into the really technical side of all these different frequencies and stuff, and this one gives you a real simple graph. You have red, yellow, orange, green, and a number, and on the graph left and right. So it's very easy to log every day and see the change. So I went into the race, like I said, off the bike 2 weeks, so I was well rested. I was over on the parasympathetic side, which will say you're either overtrained or getting a cold and you jump to that side, or you're actually well rested. And I knew I was well rested because I had a 2-week taper. So I wasn't sick. I didn't have any injuries. I had nothing that was telling my body to go to that side. So I was like, okay, should be a good day on the bike. I should be able to push it hard. And then I expected it to bring me either to the baseline or maybe into sympathetic a little. And I actually went to the parasympathetic. I added 4 points to the rest of the recovery using the Elite HRV tracking. So it went from like a 70 to a 74, which was quite strange. And again, that can show like a cold or an injury or overtraining or overreaching. But I knew it was none of those because of my workload and how I was feeling. And so I logged the next 3 days after. I mean, I log every day. And still this morning was in the 70s, still pushing the parasympathetic side.
Wow. So that sounds pretty amazing. It was similar to how you were feeling, being able to go, wanting to go out and work out hard the next day. You were able to use this supplement, 4 or 5 times a week. It sounds like you might be able to increase your workout load and start over again the next day.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I did go ride. I rode a pretty big ride on Tuesday, climbing over 5,000 feet, riding strong. Wednesday is a ride that I like to do, the one I wanted to really test your product on. It's a group ride that goes harder than some races. And again, I felt like I didn't even race the weekend before. That was probably one of the best days on the bike I've had in a long time.
Wow. Holy cow.
Great. I think that's it. Steve, anything else? Any?
Do you hear much talk about ketones in the bicycle community, the racing community?
There's a select crew. There's a few that are following and getting it. There's a lot that are trying to take it too extreme and not realizing that they're going to neglect one of the beneficial pathways, your glycolytic pathway. So what you guys have here is a wonderful thing. Like, we can get the benefit and really keep both pathways open.
Right. So you've tried. That's right. You've tried before the ketone salts and even multiple packets of that, and it didn't seem to even come close to doing the dual fuels with the esters.
I've consumed up to 5 servings in a day, and you're lucky to hit 1.5 to 2. You don't get that cognitive, that alertness feeling that you get when you hit over a 4. I've hit 4.0, 4.5 one time post ride after I did like a 5-hour bike ride fasted.
Wow. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, we'll have to.
We got to get another test.
Yeah.
So I have a race on Sunday, and I have that 20 mil for my girlfriend. I was about to take it from her.
You can go ahead and try. Go ahead and try that.
Yeah.
See if Les does more. Then Steve, should he try some UCAN with that maybe?
I don't know. Dustin was about to say something about that UCAN, and we cut him off. So what's your thoughts on the UCAN pre-race?
Last year I was trying to use it pre-training on some of these more higher intensity rides. Like, I have a Criterium training, which is a really hard hour, and I was getting some GI distress, so I just sat on it. I stopped using it. And this year, I started just kind of adding it to like a bulletproof style coffee in the morning, like taking it earlier, like taking it a couple hours, 3-4 hours before a workout, and really letting it digest. And I went to a team training camp this year with just only the UCAN and some brain octane in my coffee, and I was riding 4 or 5 hours with my team with no food. And so I know, and generating power. So I know it works. I felt great all day. I actually felt better on the bike because without the UCAN, I will feel like towards the end of a ride, some power dropping. But with the UCAN, it was working great. So I added that to my program, and I finished the container, and I just haven't ordered another container yet.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to try the UCAN with the ketones and measure your blood sugar and see if you could get a similar, because a lot of the keto athletes, man, when they hear they're about 60 grams of glucose, they're like putting on the brakes.
Yeah, I think with the sport I'm in, having a little bit of both, the slow burning carbs like a UCAN, but then also a fast acting one like the glucose is the trick. So I think I would try it with the UCAN in the morning, maybe 30 minutes before race, do like a single pack. I don't think I need 60 grams. I think just a single gel and then the ketones, and I think that might be the trick.
Sounds good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We gotta try that. Thanks.
I'll try that on Sunday.